Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're going to be making a Shenzi, the Hyena pack leader deck, with some maps of treasure planets. So, what does Shenzi do? Well, it's a character, while he's at a location, becomes a 3/6, and whenever she challenges another character, we can draw a card. Now, a 3/6 that draws a card whenever it attacks is fantabulous. But we need to have Shenzi at a location to make her more useful than being a 0/6, which really isn't that great. So another card we're going to be playing with is the Map of Treasure Planet. So this is an item, and you can basically have a small discount on your location. 1 ink, not necessarily worth the 3 ink we're paying for this card, but the main upside is that we pay 1 less to move our characters to a location, which basically means that for some locations we get to move our characters there for free, and free feels fantastic. So I'll be playing a full playset of Map of Treasure Planet. It's inkable, so I'm not too worried about playing multiple copies. And then we're going to be looking for some locations. First location I want to try is not one of these. Bottom of the 2s. I keep on clicking on Nottingham. I guess I'm going to have to search. It's Maui's Place of Exile. This fantastic location gives all our characters who are there resist 1. Resist +1. And it only costs 1 to move our character there. So if we have a Map of Treasure Planet, we can move all our characters to the place of Maui's Exile, and suddenly Maui can go on a party and have fun with friends. Because it's free to move there, it's Place of Exile. But one without the Treasure Planet. The main downside of this location is that it's a location that doesn't actually give us any ink, and doesn't give us any lore, because locations don't typically give ink, Genius Yoshi. They give some lore. And that's quite a big downside, especially with the 5 health of the location. In general, I'd prefer mouse armor for the resist 1, but we want some locations. We want some locations with impact, and we want Shenzi to do some combat while at the location, so why not add a bit of resistance? We're going to be playing Kuzco's Palace because it's a cheap location. Only costs 3, 7 willpower, which is pretty good. And whenever a character is banished there, you banish the challenging character. Nice upside. A little expensive to move there, so it's not my location of preference. I do want the Maui's Place of Exile, preferably. We also have Fang, which with a discount can become 1 or even 0 if we have 2 maps to Treasure Planet. Although if we have 2 maps, then we might not be in that great of a position, tempo-wise. Fang, probably the best location of the bunch. It gives us 2 pips of lore every turn, 6 health for 2 the cost. Essentially, we need to fill our deck with locations because we're committed to the Map of Treasure Planet and Shenzi. Okay. Well, if we're going to be playing some Treasure Planet, folks, we might as well play John Silver, the Greedy Treasure Seeker, who gets resist 1 for each location and +1 lore, so he can quest for a ton. And we can stack that with Maui's Place of Exile, so he can become a very high resist character pretty fast. That quests for a ton, or does some good combats, thanks to his resistance. So John Silver, definitely a nice inclusion in the deck. And a card I've been meaning to try out in a locations heavy deck is Mr. Pan, the Lost Boy leader. Once per turn, when he moves to a location, we gain lore to that location's willpower. Lore, get the terms mixed up. Keep on thinking about Lorcana and ink, lore, stuff, power, toughness, hypnosis. Watch more Genius Yoshi videos. And I should continue with the deck. So Peter Pan, Lost Boy leader. I want to try it out, especially if we have a discount to move from one location to the other. We can just move Pan to a location, back to the other, back to the location every turn to get a bit of extra lore. Okay, so now we have kind of our core locations based strategy, and we need some cards around that. So we need a bit of beaters in order to keep the opponent at bay so that they don't destroy our locations immediately. Captain Hook is just very good at taking down opponents' threats, punches over his weight. And another card that's seen a lot of play lately is his acolyte, Mr. Smee, Bumbling Mate. 3/3 for quest for 2. Probably the best stats for a 2-drop that we have. But he has a downside if you don't have a captain. Well, guess what? John Silver's a captain. Captain Hook is a captain. And, well, that's 2 nice captains. And otherwise, well, we'll just play him as a 3/3. And as long as he's not exerted, we don't have to pay the downside, so that's fine. We'll also be playing another flavor of the month, which is Mr. Robin Hood, beloved outlaw, who shifts into Big Robin. Where is Big Robin? So Robin Hood is a bit of a bully because he can shift on turn 3. And 3/6 is pretty solid stats. Very strong card in the metagame right now. We'll also be playing a full playset of Tinkerbell at the top end of our curve because Tinkerbell is awesome. Tinkerbell likes combat, and she has a nice enter the battlefield ability. And with Tinkerbell as well as Beast, we now have 2 characters that can shift and cause massive damage on the backswing. And we are playing Emerald, so we should be playing everyone's favorite Space Goop, full playset of Morph, so we can shift into either Tinkerbell or that Robin. Which brings us to this list. Now have some nice 1-drop play, some nice 2-drops. Our 3's okay, a little light on characters. 4 is slightly overloaded with Pan and Shenzi. We'd be looking for a bit more endgame. In terms of card draw, we have Shenzi. We're looking for a bit of removal and a bit of card draw. So we're going to go and fill up the top of our curve with some power cards. Beast, Tragic Hero. Also, shift 3. So we can bring in, if the opponent doesn't have much removal, say it's an Amber Sapphire deck, for example. In the early plays, we can shift a Beast, Tragic Hero, leave him at the ready, draw a ton of cards, and have our big 3/5 just sit tight off of a Morph. So Beast, Tragic Hero is pretty good, but just for some backup card draw, we're going to be playing a pair of Whole New Worlds. And for some removal, we're going to be playing a pair of Grab Your Swords. Our uninkable count looks good. Our curve looks pretty good. We've got location for days. We have plenty of places for Shenzi, the pack leader, to lead her pack of, well, we don't have other hyenas. I guess Morph. Morph can be a hyena, right? Let me know in the comments below if Morph counts as a hyena. And without further ado, let's move on and see the deck in action with some games. We are playing against Emerald Ruby with our Peter Pan Shenzi deck. We find the pair of Robins, Captain Hook, Tinkerbell, Maui's Place of Exile, Shenzi, and Kuzco's Palace. This is pretty ideal, so we're going to keep, especially going first. So we want to play turn 1 Robin, turn 2 Place of Maui's Exile, then turn 3 we shift. At least that's the plan. Jim Hawkins and Cursed Merfolk. So opponent wants us to be discarding some cards. And we might comply. Guess I should highlight Maui's Place of Exile. It's one of the only locations that doesn't give you any pips of lore, but it has a nice ability. Characters there get resist 1, and can have multiple characters there. But we're really playing it for characters like Shenzi. So on 3, we're going to skip the Kuzco's Palace. Take the opportunity to shift Robin into the better Robin. And take out that Merfolk. I've been letting go that Merfolk quite a lot lately, and every time I would need a bit more time. So this time I'll sacrifice the card early and deny the opponent all of the lore, which I think is the right play to make. As heartbreaking as it is to discard that card early on, I mean, you're removing a 2-quester. Seems to be a very heavy discard-based deck. So the opponent continues with the onslaught of Flynn's. Gonna ink that Kuzco's Palace of Exile, I think. Or do we? Yeah. Opponent doesn't have any threats to our location. We're gonna play Shenzi. Take out that Flynn and discard our last card. Yeah, I think we have to do that. For the same reason. Tempo. Now we're all out of cards. Thanks to Robin Hood's ability, we keep on gaining lore through those challenges. Now back to Shenzi. So once Shenzi is going to be at a location, he's going to get 3 power on the combat. Opponent decides to bounce our Robins back. And we find Morph. That's okay. We can just replay everything. Ink our Morph. Give resist to Shenzi and not pay the cost of taking out that Flynn Rider. Although Shenzi triggers, I draw a card and then we've taken out Flynn. How does the timing work? When this character is at a location wherever he challenges another character, you may draw a card. And we're challenging a Kuzco, Flynn Rider. Whenever this character is challenged, challenging player chooses and discards a card. Both triggers should happen at the same time. Let me know in the comments below if you know for sure how the abilities are supposed to trigger when you have both one of your and one of the opponent's ability triggering at the same time. Opponent has hypnosis, so it doesn't matter. But I have to double check the ruling. One quest with Cursed Merfolk. 10 to 5. Shenzi's not a big quester either. But the Hyena pack leader is there to do some work. Alright, we'll land a Morph. We'll take the extra card off of Shenzi's trigger. And we can't play it. Well, not this turn. I will take the opportunity to bring everyone to Maui's place of exile. Everyone gets some resistance. Take that, opponent. And the opponent doesn't look to be in any position to take out Maui's Palace of Exile. Place of Exile. Place of Exile. And we find Robin's to be back in hand again. At this time we have a Morph in play, so we can shift. Chantress doesn't give me hand penalties, so challenge it with Shenzi. Shenzi's been MVP this game, giving us a ton of cards. And I guess the only thing we can land is an extra mini Robin. And that's fine. 9 to 12. We have board presence. The opponent can find Prince John. Ooh, that's a big Robin into the ink. But the opponent is out of threats. Let's play another Shenzi. keep our Hyena pack all nice and packed, ready for some shipping. Two, three, four. I guess I should play, well, doesn't really matter. Could have shifted Robin too. Ooh, didn't see that coming. Opponent has to be prepared. I didn't expect the discard based deck to have be prepared. Thankfully, we're somewhat okay with this because our Shenzi's drew us a ton of cards. Now I can just land a Robin. Probably don't need that second Maui Place of Exile. So we'll ink it. Next turn is going to be John Kuzco. This one's the Palace. Not Kuzco's Place. Although Kuzco's Palace probably is Kuzco's Place. Similarly partially named cards. Similar partial names. Nah. Doesn't roll on the tongue. Opponent has removal for Robin, so the game keeps on going. That's actually a very big threat. Now let's go with the diverse threats. And John Silver is quite a big one, actually. It's not the card advantage, but he threatens to end the game, especially since we have 2 locations in play. So he's going to have resist 2 once we move him to Maui's Place of Exile. 3/3, resist 2, quest for 3. Now that's the good stuff. Cursed Merfolk for the opponent doesn't cut it. Gonna land our beast. Might as well move John. And boom, 17. And at Kuzco's Palace, we also get the extra pip of lore every turn. So either of our characters is lethal. Mother knows best. Well, Mother's advice didn't really have an impact there. As we close out the game with Beast Tragic Hero. That was a fun game. We really saw the King of Hyena's Shenzi do a lot of work early on, and the deck just never ran out of steam, while our opponents did. We're playing against Emerald Amber with our Shenzi Pan locations deck. Opponent has cards. We have a Mr. Smee, Beast, Swords, Pair Robin, Shenzi, Maui's Place of Exile. That is pretty ideal, except for the grab your sword, which I'll send back. It's funny just how often we've been hitting that pair of Robins. Not complaining. Robin to Robin is pretty awesome. Gonna ink Beast because the rest of our hand is just so fantastic. I'll open up with a Robin. But we do want to play the map to Treasure Planet as well as the Shenzi. We can actually go Shenzi on 4 and then on 5 map Maui's Place of Exile off of the discount and move Shenzi to it. That's pretty awesome. For now, we're going to have to ink Shenzi. I don't land Mr. Smee. Pirate Extraordinaire. Actually, is he a pirate? Should be. I think he's the first mate of Captain Hook. Yes, definitely a pirate. Opponent goes to quest with the Queen and send a Simba, which is going to get destroyed by a shifted Robin Hood. And Smee's going to go down in the challenge because of its passive ability, but that's okay. We'll trade in order to get that hit on the Queen. And Robin Hood does what Robin does best, which is deal with the bad guys that are royals. Deal with corrupted leaders, evil queens, and evil kings. Distributing the riches to the poor. Skilled combatant and for the good of others. Oh yeah, forgot the past. That's my bad. I was wondering why Mr. Smee didn't disappear. Too busy chatting to the audience while waiting, instead of actually hitting the go button. When we find a Peter Pan, well, fortunately we need an inked card, and that'll be Pan. Land a Shenzi and quest, and the pressure is on. The one downside is Robin's just so good that the opponent's not going to exert anything for a Shenzi to challenge. Or apparently Jasper will. When we find a Peter Pan, I think our play remains the same. Map the treasure planet, activate to get the discount, play Maui's Place of Exile. Then we can move both of our characters to Maui's Place of Exile. Thanks to Treasure Planet. Then do we want the lore, do we want the card? And we want the card. So Shenzi's going to take it. And we find a second copy of Peter Pan, which is pretty nice. We're missing a location that gives us lore for Pan to be effective. But that was a good use of Map of Treasure Planet if I ever found one. With the Shenzi already on the board, gives us a lot of options, or a lot of power into that swing. Opponent lands a Mufasa. Mufasa who wants to be dealt damage. Don't need a second map to Treasure Planet. We already know where it is. Shenzi's going to take out Doc, pick up a card. Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's a nice one. We did already ink a card, so we might as well land Pan. Pan can move, and we gain 0 Lord off of his ability. Disappointing, but that's what it is. And that's turn. Peter Pan gains lore whenever he moves to location. As the opponent lands Chernabog. D99. 3 quester. Opponent sacrifices Mufasa into Robin. And finds an Ursula. That's good for us. It's a pretty weak hit off of Mufasa. As we find another Robin. Ursula comes into play exerted, so it's a free card off of Shenzi. And we find Fang. Fang's a really nice pickup here, because we can play it, and using the Map of Treasure Planet's ability, we can move Pan to Fang. Trigger, we gain 2 lore instantly, move him back to Maui's Place of Exile, because it's free. And I guess we quest with Robin? Yeah, that seems right. Seems alright. We'll pass the turn. Guess I could have quested with Peter. What do we get off of Fang? Characters have ward and evasive as long as they're there. Chernabog deals with Robin, which gives us a card thanks to his fantabulous ability. We find Kuzco's Palace. We gain 2 Lord off of Fang, picking up another one. We will move Peter back to Fang. Peter triggers. That's 2 lore. 3, 4. I can be pretty close to game off of a second Peter Pan here. And at least be quite threatening. So we're gonna ink Kuzco's Palace. Go for another copy of Peter Pan. Send him to Fang. Trigger, we gain 2 lore. 16. We get a quest. 18, we're almost there. Opponent needs to deal with Fang and both of our characters here. And we have another Fang in hand. So off of Peter Pan's trigger, we should be able to close out this game. Opponent takes out Fang. Getting some Peter Pan triggers. Quite excited about that. Actually, this game showcases the deck really well. Things went into our favor. Opponent played some stuff. And Shenzi did a lot of work. We get some lore. Play another Fang just because we can. And win off of the Peter Pan trigger. Boom! And that's 20. Just like that. We're playing against Amber Amethyst. Not a combination I see every day. Oh, wait, no, that's the aggro combination. Going second, we have the double Robin, which is pretty good. Also have Mr. Smee, pair of, I was going to say lands, but locations. And a hook. That's okay. Opponent opens up with Neverland. So it's a super duper aggro deck. Well, now that that's settled, let's open up with Hook. Hook can pressure Neverland pretty effectively. Opponent inks a Meta Mim Fox, telegraphing that they probably have another Mim Fox in hand. Befuddle, trying to gain some tempo. That's okay. Turn 2 play, I wanted to go Robin Hook anyways. Well, it would have been torn between Maui's Place of Exile and Robin. Actually, Mr. Smee probably would have been the right play. So I guess I was covered for turn 2 plays. Lilo comes into play. Hey comes in as the defined backup. As we find ourselves a Shenzi. I don't think we're going to get to Tinkerbell, so we're going to ink her for now. We have the nice Shift Robin. And we can take out Lilo and live with Captain Hook. Oh, I thought Robin had more power. Sorry, that's a mistake. Robin should have gone after Lilo. That would have given us 2 lore. Classic case of read the card. Hey trades with Hook, but Hey bounces back, being a miraculous chicken that we never run out of. And he comes back for more. The opponent is very quickly running out of cards. And we find ourselves a Morph, which I don't think we really need right now. Robin's in a good place, so let's just take out Neverland. Land a Shenzi for pressure, and pass the turn back to our opponent. Next turn we have the option of landing our Maui's Place of Exile, moving our characters there, and going for double combat. So what is it? Double combat? Although the Romans would say that that's actually 5, but that's besides the point. Hey pokes at Robin, bounces back, and it comes back for more. Ooh, John Silver is a nice pickup. Do want to keep my second location in this particular case. So Mr. Smee will bite the dust. Shenzi will move to Maui's Place of Exile and go and take out that piglet. And we'll pick up a Tinkerbell. Might as well move Robin there. Robin's gonna get us on the board in terms of lore. Hey pokes Robin for 1. We've seen that hey quite a lot this game, although it really didn't do much. Baloo Mim Hey. Alright, well we can take out that hey. It's whenever it's banished in the challenge, so we can take it out for good with a Tinkerbell, which I like. So honestly, it was starting to be somewhat annoying. There you go, Tinkerbell. Go and nuke him. Then Shenzi quests, Robin quests. Both well protected from Madam Min's snake, thanks to Maui's Place of Exile. Now all we have to worry about is the opponent out-questing us and closing out the game. But with Fang and John Silver in hand, I think our questing speed is going to be fast enough. We are also pretty dominant on the board. The multi-snake combination. The other card being a Baloo. So we know exactly what our opponent has at this point. And Baloo comes in. Gonna ink that second Shenzi. Doesn't quest for enough to be impactful. Land Fang and John. And let's apply some questing pressure. Up to 10 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 on the board for next turn. Or threatening lethal, thanks to John Silver's quite potent ability. Oops, not the search, the click. The greedy treasure seeker. And the opponent landing a Merlin. I think that'll be all. Turn passes back to us. We get our lore. We quest for a lot. And end the game. Out aggroing aggro. Okay, we did take out their characters, so we mid-ranged aggro and stomped it down. We are playing against Sapphire Amber. Fang, Robin, Beast. Think Shenzi, second Robin, and Peter Pan. Very high curve, so we're gonna send at least one Robin, Tinkerbell, Fang, and Beast back. Well, we're gonna keep one Shenzi and one Robin, and we'll keep the Peter Pan. Mostly because I want to see it in action. Find map the treasure planet, but this time we no longer have a location in hand. We'll find ourselves a Morph. Morph, the character that can shift into anything. And then we have yet again top decked into a Robin Hood, the 1-drop. Amber, Sapphire. I do want to see Peter Pan in action. So I'm going to sacrifice Beast. Just going to give it a bit more chances. I'll open with the turn 1 Robin. I mean, It's just so good that there's hardly any reason to do any other turn 1 play. If we have turn 1 Robin, we play the turn 1 Robin. Especially if we have the bigger one. We can also land ourselves a Morph here. And no reason to put our Robin into a dangerous spot, as the opponent has Miss Bianca, Singer 4. Ooh, and a Mama Audi. 4 dozen eggs. What does that do? I just remember thinking that the card was awful. 4 dozen eggs. Character gains resist 2 until your next turn. Alright. So we're not gonna challenge Miss Bianca now. Don't need that Peter Pan. Shifting Robin doesn't really give us much, so we'll land our map to Treasure Planet. And that'll be it for our turn. Now that's where to highlight. As the opponent lands a second Mama Audi, and how far I'll go means 3 ink. That's a lot of ink. That's why I love Mama Audi so much. Definitely a fun card to play. But for now, I want the map. Map of Treasure Planet means that we can move to locations for cheaper. And our next location is cheaper. Alright. I think I'm gonna have to ink Shenzi here. I could ink the second map, but I'm interested to see what we can do with double map. We're gonna shift our Tinkerbell on top of Morph. Doing lots of pings. And Tinkerbell can take out Miss Bianca and will ping down one of these Mama Audis, even though they've already done most of their hard work. I'll keep Robin. Really don't want to sacrifice it. Morph into Tinkerbell. That's the surprise move of the deck, which probably isn't much of a surprise anymore. Shell Necklace. That thing has to do with songs. Whenever you play a song, we pay 1 to draw a card. And we find Maui's Place of Exile, which means we can move to it for free. And the second map of Treasure Planet is mostly useless for that. So we activate the map, play a Place of Exile with a discount. Then we can drop Peter, move everyone to the Place of Exile. We gain 0 lore off of Peter Pan's ability, hashtag anti-synergy. And we'll quest with Tinkerbell. So you might as well quest with Peter Pan as well. Oh, wait, no, I just played it. Is there a bug? It's not questing. You just played it this turn, Yoshi. You just played it this turn. Second Shell Necklace. 1 jump ahead. 1 more to the ink. Double trigger. Draw 2 cards. That's a very fun deck, my friend. I definitely appreciate it. Ooh, Kuzco's Palace. Definitely what we were looking for. Well, I would have preferred Fang. But Kuzco's Palace now has a discount, so it only costs 2 to move to it. We can move Mr. Pan to Kuzco's Palace, getting 1 lore off of its ability. Then we're gonna quest with our other characters. We'll leave Robin at the ready to become a chef target next turn. The opponent doesn't blow us up because they're at 9 lore with 4 cards in hand and a bunch of spectacular singers on the battlefield. And I mean, come on. The mystical Maven is also a spectacular singer. 3rd Shell Necklace. I mean, Ursula's revenge is coming. Better start stacking necklaces. We're gonna shift Robin over here. And then thanks to Treasure Planet's discount, we can move Robin. We can move Peter Pan to Palace of Exile and back to Kuzco's palace. Oh, wait, no. The first tick actually counted Kuzco Maui's Place of Exile. So I have that one in reverse. Once per turn, when he moves to location, gain lore to that location's willpower. So we've gotten the 0 once and couldn't trigger it a second time. So, well, that's a little bit of a downer. If we're going to quest with our other folks, I mean, I guess we can quest with Peter. Yeah, he has resist 1. What's the harm? But yeah, what we want to do is keep Peter Pan in Maui's Place of Exile and then move it to Kuzco's palace, then back to the Place of Exile. So we get the 1 lore, and then we get the resist 1 to continue with our turn, thanks to the discount from Map of Treasure Planet. Super convoluted play for very little gain. Tinkerbell gets let go, as it is apparently time for layoffs or ice storms. Opponent is inking a ton of cards, drawing a ton of cards off of the shell necklaces. Gotta love it. It's pretty cool. Triple let it go in the same turn. Well, now we have a ton of ink and not much to do with them. There should be a nice option here. I really want to say nice to my opponent. Alright, well, got a Captain Hook and a Mr. Smee. I can give them both some level of resistance because it's free. Can activate the Map of Treasure Planet for no reason at all. As we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. But I mean, the opponent's just doing so many things in their turn. I gotta activate my useless triggers to kind of make it seem like I'm keeping up. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Opponent plays the big Gramatala, ender of games in this particular situation. 1 jump ahead means 3 more ink, 3 lore. My main way of winning now is the opponent running out of cards, which honestly might be somewhat realistic at this point. All I need is a whole new world, which I'm not playing, unfortunately. Another 1 jump ahead. Ink, ink, ink. This is a fun game. And the opponent's gaining 1 lore for each of those. So actually, the 10 cards, if the opponent inks them all and quests with some of their board, that'll be it. That's 24 ink. That's almost, well, okay. It's over a third of our opponent's deck. That's all in the ink pile. Then we get 1 last turn. Opponent can quest for 9. I mean, we can make it respectable, go to 17. But if the opponent has a song or a card to ink, my actual best move is to take out the Mama Audis. And hope that the opponent doesn't have something to ink more cards. So the opponent can quest for 7. Ink 1 cards, that's 8. That's all I can do. Well, I guess I could have landed Maui's Place of Exile. So the opponent doesn't take it out with the bare necessities, making sure I don't have counterspell or instant speed board wipes. Curious to see if Lorcana is going to add instant type spells eventually. Oh, Bell will do the trick. So that gives our opponent the ability to ink 2 cards. And there's another Mama Audi that comes into play. 27. Can we make it 30? 5 cards in the deck. 4 cards in the deck. Opponent goes to Quest. And wins with a really cool victory. Could have made it to 17. But 17 is not good enough. What our opponent did certainly was in this game. 27 link. That's impressive. I'm impressed. We are playing against Ruby Amber. Using Shenzi and his map, the treasure planet. Yeah, no, there's only one treasure planet, but in this case, there's multiple in this deck. Have Captain Maui's Palace. Place. Pair of pans. Too many pans. John Silver and a Beast. It's quite a decent hand. We'll keep it. I'll ink Beast. Land Mr. Hook. And be at the ready for opponent to do something. Or nothing. Whichever they prefer. On play, of course, makes things much easier for our deck. So we find another Peter Pan. Straight to the ink you shall go. As the good old Captain Hook is going to give us one piece of lore. Maui's Place of Exile. Simple, very effective. So location, so it triggers all our location triggers. But outside of that, I do prefer Mouse Armor. Ink that new Robin, which we just picked up. Play John Silver, who looks pretty amazing on this somewhat empty board. And with the opponent doing nothing on turns 1 and 2, we are in a very good position. Opponent's probably playing a Mufasa style deck, which is why the opponent hasn't played anything yet. So a lot of big curve enders are what I expect. Which means we're going to ink one of our Shenzis. John gets a quest for 2. I'm happy to quest with Hook here. If the opponent takes it out with Doc, then the opponent's not gaining ink. And opponent being on 4, that 5th point of ink seems pretty important to me. And as we see, Doc does go to quest. There's Maui. But Maui's going to go punish Captain Hook. Turn passes back to us. We find Mr. Smee. Now we need Shenzi to move to Maui's Place of Exile. It does allow us to land Peter Pan. Well, let's see what we pick up. So we'll take out Doc. Draw another Pan. Okay. And we should be taking out Maui. So let's ink a Peter, land a Peter. Which reminds me of good old Peter Pan joke. Why is Peter Pan always flying? Because he never lands. And that's why you're following this channel. Or that's the point at which you're questioning why you're following this channel. Whichever you prefer. As another Maui kind of hurts, gotta say. Gonna take it out to protect Maui's Place of Exile. And now I'm gonna land a Beast. Something to ink something. But I'm running out of cards, so we're going to keep them for now. Unless the Floodborn Tragic Hero do his stuff. Hopefully pick us some cards. Or get destroyed by Madame Medusa. Youch. And that's why people are playing Madame Medusa. She has so many great targets in the current metagame. Including that Beast. Oh, Let's play the next best thing in Robin Hood. Medusa. Holding the telephone. She kind of get called. Here's your mark. Although it says the boss, so I guess she's calling the assassins and she's not the assassin herself. Or is she the assassin? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Madame Medusa is from. While she's questing on the opponent's side of the field, which puts us in a slightly annoying position as the opponent lands a Mother Gothel Rapunzel Wombo combo. And we're going to counter with a full board of stuff. Can't go wrong with that, right? Stuff. It's not exactly what I was expecting our opponent to be playing, but it's a lot of Mauis. Then Prince Eric. So removal galore on the opponent's side. And we land Tinkerbell. I do like Tinkerbell here, apart from the fact that I cannot play her. I think we just stand back. Yeah, maybe I should be sending everyone to Maui's Place of Exile. Probably should, but I fully expect that it's going to go down this turn. Yeah, maybe it is what I was expecting. An Amber Ruby that drops a bunch of huge threats like Maleficent and Madame Medusa. But Maui Medusa just pummeled us quite heavily. Now we're stuck with small fries against the big potatoes our opponent has. But we'll land Tinkerbell, which will allow us to have the clean hook takes down Medusa. You may banish chosen character, so anything. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't see how we're winning with how we're gonna win with this. And maybe I should have shifted Tinkerbell on Morph last turn. I did have that option and forgot. The opponent's pretty close to lethal here. That Prince Eric. Oh, and I have to sacrifice something. Well, Morph will go as Lady Tremaine comes in and asks for an offering for her Iron Throne. Alright. Well, opponent can quest for 9, 11. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. So 11. So I need to take out Eric. But that doesn't end well. Not at all. No. Take it out with Tinkerbell. Live to fight another turn. I'll play Kuzco's Palace. Move Mr. Smee there and go to Quest. Trying to make it a little bit more respectable. But in all honesty, we got pretty demolished. And the opponent can ignore whatever we're doing at this point and just go for the win. And unless we top deck our Be Prepared, which we're not playing, because it's not in our colors, then I'd say we're pretty doomed. So let's make it 10. Cast the Morph and let our opponent take the win. Opponent decides to go for a value combat for no real reason. And there it is. And that's game. And that's all for the games, which means it's time for deck review. How did our games go? Well, the Robin into Robin helps a lot and deals a lot with the early game pressure, and that's pretty good. John Silver is a pretty powerful card, and honestly, Shenzi's been performing quite well, probably even better than expected. Shenzi moving into Maui's Place of Exile is a pretty strong play, as if you think about it, this 3-drop Robin Hood, if you can get him on time, is 3/6 that gets you lore whenever he challenges. While Shenzi gives you cards, which is even better. But you do have the downside of location, you can't shift him early. So obviously Robin, there's a reason why Robin is the meta-defining card. But Shenzi has some real power plays back in him. And if we had a couple of other cheaper, high loyalty locations that don't cost a fortune to move to, I think he could be valuably played. He's actually quite decent in this deck. Smee hooks do not, they're pretty good. They don't disappoint. The one that I am disappointed in is Peter Pan, Lost Boy Leader. Feels a little lackluster. Now, the ability to gain lore instantly is pretty cool, but when you're gaining lore 2 at a time and your character can exert, it's just the fact that he can only exert for 1 means that he's really not a big lore machine. He can do it without exerting, but then your locations are exposed, so the opponent can either target your pan if you've exerted it, or your locations if you're keeping it at a ready, which means that Peter Pan does well when you're already winning, and he's more of a win more card, which you typically want to stay away from. So overall, Shenzi is a win. Pan, not so much. The rest of the deck's fairly solid. Map of Treasure Planet plus Maui's Place of Exile is alright. It's a big investment in cards, and we do end up running low on cards when we land a couple locations with the Map of Treasure Planet. Having everyone move for free to Maui's Place of Exile is pretty cool and pretty strong. Now, would we be better with a mouse armor in the general deck that doesn't depend on locations? Probably. But it's still an interesting card to play. We'll see as more locations come in. If there's nice advantages to moving free to a location, and if you can get 1 or 2 maps of Treasure Planet in play, then there might be some shenanigans and combos in the future. For now, moving for free to Maui's Place of Exile is quite decent and has proven to be pretty good. Not a top tier card, but still. I hope that you've enjoyed the games. The games are pretty fun. We got to see the deck basically roll on all cylinders in some games, and just moving characters from one location to another, getting the Shenzi to pummel characters for multiple cards, and the deck performed pretty well as long as the opponent had targets that we could challenge. When the opponent went bigger, then that started causing us some trouble. Like dealing with Chernobygs, don't have many good ways to deal with that. Big stats characters give this deck trouble. Well, again, I hope that you've had a great time, that you've enjoyed the deck list, you've enjoyed the game. I wish you all a great day, and I will see you next time.